Welcome to my channel. I'm your friend, and here we don't just listen to stories. We feel them. If you love mystery, thrillers, and emotional journeys, then you're in the right place. So let's begin today's story. The Last Call. The Voice That Never Returned. It was 11:30 at night. Most of the city lights had already gone dark, but Arnav's room still glowed with the light of his phone screen. Suddenly, the phone rang. On the screen appeared the same name, Rhea. Arnav smiled. He answered the call and joked, "Calling this late? Can't sleep?" But on the other side, the voice was different. Soft, trembling. "Arnav, if I'm not able to contact you by tomorrow, just know someone stopped me." Arnav's heart skipped a beat. "Rhea, what are you saying? Where are you?" There was silence for a few seconds, then only the sound of wind. And in between it, Rhea's broken, fading voice. "I think someone is following me." The line suddenly disconnected. He called again, switched off. A strange fear began to creep into his chest. Was this a joke, or was something truly wrong? Outside the window, light rain had begun to fall, and in that quiet rain, one question hung suspended. What really happened to Rhea? And from that very moment, Arnav's life was about to change, because he had no idea. The fear Rhea felt didn't belong to her alone. It was the beginning of a game, where winning meant losing everything. Morning came, but for Arnav, the night still wasn't over. His eyes opened, but his mind was stuck on that call. The first thing he did was grab his phone. He turned the network on, but there was nothing from Rhea, no text, no missed call, nothing. He whispered to himself, maybe she's fine. Maybe her phone just died. But his heart refused to believe it. In the kitchen, tea was boiling. His mother asked, "Did you talk to Rhea?" Arnav lied. "Yeah, everything's fine." But his hands were shaking. His steps carried him straight toward Rhea's house, right on the edge of town, where the road ends and the forest begins. He rang the bell. Rhea's mother opened the door, tired eyes full of worry. "Son, is Rhea at your place?" Arnav's heart sank. "No, she didn't come home?" She shook her head. Silence filled the room. Three things were now clear. Rhea hadn't come back. Her phone was switched off, and that last call had been real. Everything in Rhea's room was untouched. Bed perfectly made. Diary on the desk. Window half open. As Arnav touched the diary, a paper slipped out. On it, only one line was written. "If I disappear, don't come near the lake road." A storm rose inside Arnav. The lake. The same place where accidents kept happening. Where people said, "Someone watches you after dark." Just then, a voice came from behind. "What are you doing here?" "Inspector Kabir." Calm but sharp. "Rhea is missing," Arnav said quietly. "And she called me last night." Kabir looked straight at him. "Are you telling the truth?" "Yes." "Then why didn't you call the police first?" Arnav fell silent. Those words echoed in his head. "Don't tell the police." Kabir began examining the room. Every drawer, every window, every corner. Then he found something, a small USB drive hidden under the bed. "This might be important," he said. "We'll check it at the station." Arnav asked, "Can I come with you?" Kabir nodded slowly. "If you really care about Rhea, be ready. Some truths change your life forever." At the station, they plugged in the USB. A video appeared. The room in the video was dark, and Rhea sat in front of the camera. Fear on her face, no sleep in her eyes. Her voice trembled. "If anyone finds this video, know that I figured out the wrong person." She took a deep breath. "And that person is someone very close to us." The video stopped. No one spoke. Kabir switched the screen off and said quietly, "Whoever she suspected is either someone you know or someone she trusts." Arnav felt ice settle in his chest. Suspect who? Who could be so close and still so dangerous? Just then, the station phone rang. "Near the lake. We found a girl's scarf." Every eye turned toward Arnav. Only one thought raced through his mind. She really did go to the lake. But why? Who stopped her? And the biggest question, is she still alive? Or not? And from that moment, a new game began, where every path led to only one place. The lake. The road toward the lake. The road was deserted. The shadows of the trees fell across it, as if dark hands were reaching out to hold anyone who passed. Arnav arrived at the lake road. With Inspector Kabir, the air carried a strange chill, the kind that always lingers near water. But tonight, it felt like fear. Near the shore stood an old wooden bench. Beside it, a blue scarf. Rhea's. Arnav bent down to pick it up, but Kabir stopped him. "Don't touch anything." He put on gloves, lifted the scarf carefully. One thing was clear. The scarf had been placed there, not dropped. Nearby, the mud held marks, dragged footprints, as if someone had been pulled against their will. Arnav whispered, "She was here, wasn't she?" Kabir didn't answer directly. He scanned the surroundings. Old boats, a broken wooden pier, mist drifting slowly over the water. Then suddenly, something moved far out in the lake. Arnav's heart pounded. "Is that—" Kabir raised his hand sharply for silence. They watched the water for several long seconds. Nothing came up. An uneasy stillness spread around them. Then a voice spoke from behind. "You shouldn't have come here." It was the old caretaker, the man who looked after the lake, and was always nearby. His eyes were frightened. Kabir asked, "Did you see anything last night?" The old man replied softly, "See? No. But I heard plenty." "What did you hear?" "A girl screaming, and then the sound of a car door slamming." The ground seemed to slip beneath Arnav's feet. Kabir frowned. "Why didn't you tell the police?" The old man gave a tired, broken laugh. "Sir, the kind of things that happen here, sometimes even the police, come only as guests." Those words cut straight through the silence, as if an old truth was slowly rising from the lake. Kabir's voice hardened. "What do you mean?" The caretaker whispered, "Years ago, another woman disappeared here. People said it was an accident, but the truth was buried under this water." In Arnav's mind flashed Ria's video. The wrong person is very close to us. Kabir didn't push the old man any further. Maybe he knew saying more could put the man in danger. He ordered the lake area sealed off entirely. Suddenly, Arnav said quietly, "I honestly feel Raya is still alive." Kabir looked at him. "Why?" "Because whoever took her wants us to keep searching. If they wanted to finish her, they wouldn't have left this scarf." Kabir nodded slightly. "You think well. But remember, sometimes kidnappers just like playing games." For the first time, Arnav whispered, "And what if this game is being played by someone close?" Kabir fell silent. After a moment, he said, "Go home tonight. Whatever happens, don't go out alone. And if you get any message, any call, tell me immediately." Arnav nodded. But inside, he knew one thing. If he found even the smallest clue, he would never sit quietly. That night, back in his room, moonlight spilled through the window. He plugged in his phone, when suddenly, the screen lit up. "Unknown number. You reached the lake. Don't take the next step wrong." Arnav's heart raced. He typed, "Who are you? Where is Ria?" No reply for several seconds. Then, one final message. "Your mistake could become her punishment." The message vanished, as if it had never existed. Silence filled the room again. But now one thing was certain. Ria's disappearance was not an accident. It was planned. A carefully built game. And the real danger wasn't just that Ria was missing. It was this. The person everyone trusted might be the one controlling everything. Evening had settled in. The area outside Ridgeport was now almost deserted. There was a strange chill in the air, as if it wasn't the weather changing, but a warning. The road leading toward the lake felt even more terrifying now. The shadows of the trees stretched across the road, as though someone had deliberately spread them there. With every step, the crunch beneath the fallen leaves collided with the rhythm of his heartbeat. He felt it. Someone was there. He turned around. Nothing. Yet the feeling remained. The lake was getting closer. The surface of the water was completely still, too still. Moonlight reflected off it as if the lake itself was trying to hide a secret. Then his eyes caught something near the shore. An old shoe. He stopped. This wasn't an everyday shoe. Dried mud clung to it as if it had been lying there for days. And the strangest part, its laces were untied. His heart whispered, "Turn back from here." But his mind refused. He pulled out his phone, switched on the flashlight, and began moving forward along the edge. With every step, the distance between fear and truth grew smaller. Then something moved in the lake. A faint ripple. Then another. His breath caught in his throat. In that moment, he realized this place wasn't just deserted. It was hiding something. And whatever the truth was, it was about to surface. But the question remained. Would everything ever be the same? After seeing that truth? The wind picked up speed. Waves began forming across the lake. And in that darkness, the story took yet another dangerous turn. Standing near the lake was becoming unbearable now. The air was thick with moisture, mixed with a strange stench, as if something rotten had been hidden beneath the water for far too long. He took a step back. Just then, the surface of the lake moved again. This time, the ripple was larger. His heart began pounding violently. His mind screamed, "Run," but his feet felt as if they were rooted to the ground. Suddenly, a faint sound came from the bushes near the shore. Footsteps. He turned. Who's there? His own voice sounded unfamiliar to him. No answer. Only the rustling of leaves. And then silence. He swung the flashlight in that direction. As the beam hit the bushes, something glinted. He moved forward slowly. On the ground lay a chain. Broken, rusted, and marked with dried blood. His hands began to tremble. This was no longer just a suspicion. Something very wrong had happened here. Then he heard it. A heavy breath behind him. Very close. He spun around. No one. But now he could feel it clearly. He was not alone. Suddenly, the lake erupted with a loud splash, as if someone had deliberately thrown a stone. The water surged, and then went still. His eyes locked onto the water. It felt like something was rising. Very slowly. Terrifyingly. He tried to step back, but his foot struck something. He nearly fell. Looking down, his breath stopped. On the ground lay an old bag, half buried in mud. And from inside that bag, peeking out, a diary. In that moment, he understood. The story that had been buried until now was ready to speak for itself. And this truth was not going to spare anyone. Ridgeport did not sleep that night. The rain had stopped, but the dampness on the streets and the unease hanging in the air refused to fade. Police activity around the lake had intensified, yet the public only knew one thing. Something big is about to happen. Aditya Malhotra sat inside his car parked along Lake Road. Ahead lay the same old path, where the story had begun, where the truth was slowly surfacing. His phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "If you want the truth, come to the lake one last time tonight." Aditya's fingers trembled. It was the same method, the same pattern every time. Meanwhile, at the police station, Inspector Arya Sen flipped through files. Spread before her were 10 years' worth of missing person reports from Ridgeport. Different names, different ages, but one thing was common. Every last known location was near the lake. She murmured to herself, "This isn't just a crime, it's a pattern." Elsewhere, journalist Maya Kapoor sat before her laptop. She reopened an old article, Ridgeport Development Project, Lake Area Clearance. One name kept appearing again and again. Vikram Rathore. Maya's eyes hardened. Everywhere. The same name. Back at the lake, darkness thickened. Aditya switched on his flashlight and moved toward the water's edge. With every step, his heartbeat grew louder. Suddenly, he heard footsteps behind him. "Who's there?" His voice dissolved into the night. No reply. Then, in the beam of his flashlight, something appeared. A bag half buried near the water. Aditya bent down and opened it. Inside was a mobile phone, and several photographs. The photos showed the very people who had gone missing, and in the last photo, Aditya himself. His throat went dry. At that moment, a cold voice spoke from behind him. "Now do you understand why this lake was chosen?" Aditya turned. A man stepped out of the darkness. His face remained hidden, but his voice was heavy, confident. "Who are you?" Aditya asked. The man smiled faintly. "I'm the one who taught Ridgeport how to stay silent." In the distance, sirens wailed. Inspector Arya and her team were moving toward the lake. But Aditya didn't yet know that. The man standing before him was not just a pawn. He was the center of the entire story. The wind grew stronger. The lake's surface began to ripple. And in that moment, one thing became clear. There was no turning back now. The clouds above the lake had grown even darker. Fear now mixed with the dampness in the air. Aditya's eyes were fixed on the man, who had stepped out of the shadows. "You," Aditya said in a heavy voice, "you're the one everyone stays silent about, aren't you?" The man gave a soft laugh. In Ridgeport, the truth is always silent. People only hear the noise, never the real story. He stepped forward. Now his reflection was clearly visible in the lake's water. "I am Vikram Rathore." At the sound of the name, Aditya's heart pounded. The same name, the one in Maya's research, the one that surfaced again and again in old cases. Vikram's voice was cold. "This lake was never just water. It is a witness." Aditya steadied himself. "A witness to what?" Vikram gestured toward the water. "To everyone who loved the truth too much." Somewhere in the distance, leaves rustled, as if someone else was listening. Meanwhile, Inspector Arya's vehicle turned onto Lake Road. Her mind was restless. She could feel it. Something was about to break tonight. She spoke into the radio. "Team, cover all sides. No movement should go unnoticed." At the same time, Maya Kapoor was running toward the lake. She clutched a file filled with development projects, forged signatures, and the names of those who had disappeared. By the lake's edge, Vikram spoke quietly. You know, Aditya, people didn't disappear because they were killed. They disappeared because no one listened to them. Aditya snapped. You stole their voices. Vikram's eyes glinted. No, I simply kept the city quiet. Suddenly, bright lights flashed from the forest. Beams of flashlights. Police! Someone shouted. Vikram stepped back, yet his voice remained calm. The game isn't over, Aditya. The truth will come out, but it always has a price. He pulled out a pendrive and tossed it forward. If you truly want the truth, watch this. In the next moment, Vikram vanished into the darkness. Sirens echoed along the lake's edge. Inspector Arya had arrived. Aditya, are you okay? She asked. Aditya didn't respond. He only stared at the pendrive in his hand. What did it contain? A truth that would shake all of Ridgeport. Or just another lie? The lake's surface was calm, but inside the city, a storm had already begun. Ridgeport's morning was strangely silent, as if the city itself was holding its breath. Inside a small room at the police station, Inspector Arya Sen, Aditya Malhotra, and Maya Kapoor sat facing a single screen. The pendrive was playing. Old videos began to appear, grainy yet carrying undeniable truth. Meetings near the lake, secret deals, land seizures disguised as development projects. And for those who resisted, only one word was written next to their names. Silenced. Maya's voice trembled. They weren't killed. They were erased by the system. In one video, Vikram Rathore looked straight into the camera. If these recordings ever come out, he said, then know this, Ridgeport will no longer stand on lies. Aditya's eyes filled with tears. So they really fought for what was right? Arya turned off the screen. Her face was firm, but her eyes burned with resolve. If not today, then never, she said. This story ends now. By evening, the news had spread everywhere. Television channels, social media. One headline dominated them all. Ridgeport's silent crimes exposed. Maya's article went viral. Every name, every piece of evidence, every video, all laid bare. The city erupted. And that very night, Vikram Rathore was arrested while trying to flee the city. As the handcuffs were placed on him, he looked back just once and said softly, a city isn't used to hearing the truth. It has to be taught. A few weeks later, the police tape was gone from the lake's edge. The air was clear, the water calm. Aditya stood there, where fear once lived. Arya joined him. The case is closed, she said, but its impact will last a long time. Aditya looked toward the water. Maybe that's what was necessary. A little distance away, Maya stood with her camera, capturing the lake. It was no longer a place of fear. It had become a place of memory. That night, the lights of Ridgeport stayed on, for the first time in a long while. And the people understood, no matter how deeply the truth is buried, if someone dares to search for it, even the quietest city will one day speak. Because secrets don't drown in water, they wait for someone willing to listen. The end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button. Share it, so others can experience this journey too. And yes, make sure to subscribe to the channel, because the next stories are going to be even more thrilling.